Hello and welcome to Run Testers. My name's Nick. In this video we're going to be comparing the Adidas Boston 12 and the Adidas Supernova Rise. Boston 12 and Supernova Rise are both shoes that I personally would classify as daily training shoes that can handle a nice variety of runs. Adidas pitches the Boston 12 more as a racy speed focused shoe, that's why it's part of the Adizero lineup, whereas the Supernova Rise is very much pitched as a training shoe, but I do think they cover off similar runs quite well, so I thought it'd be good to do this comparison. For my reviews of the shoes, I got the Adidas Boston 12 sample from Adidas and the Supernova Rise from Sports Shoes, so thanks to both of them for sorting out the samples so I could review the shoe. Supernova Rise is the slightly cheaper of the two shoes, costing £130 or $140, whereas the Boston is £140 or $160. The Boston's a lighter shoe, it's 259 grams or 9.1 ounces in a UK 9, whereas the Supernova Rise is 287 grams or 10.1 ounces. Boston has an 8mm drop, the Supernova Rise has a 10mm drop. Supernova Rise has a 36mm stack height at the heel and 26 at the forefoot, whereas the Boston is 38 at the heel and 30 at the forefoot. So with the Boston, you've got a very lightweight mesh upper with very minimal padding around the collar and tug of the shoe and really not much structure at all at the heel. Then you've got a dual density midsole with a layer of Lightstrike Pro on the top and then Lightstrike 2.0 on the bottom. Lightstrike Pro is the bouncy foam, the best foam in Adidas's lineup. You see it in shoes like the Pro Racing shoe, whereas Lightstrike 2.0 is an EVA foam, a fairly soft and lightweight foam to add a slightly firmer, more stable feel to the shoe than you'd have with just Lightstrike Pro alone. In the midsole of the shoe are Adidas's Energy Rods 2.0. These are glass fibre infused rods to add some more propulsion to your stride. You've got a Continental rubber outsole with great forefoot coverage, two strips at the back, a bit of a cutout and exposed foam in the middle of the shoe there. With the Supernova Rise, you've got a mesh upper with a whole lot more padding around the tongue and collar of the shoe, which indicates this is more of a training shoe than the Boston. Then you've got a new foam midsole, which is Dream Strike Plus, which is a PEBA-based foam, but a little bit denser, not quite as lively and lightweight as Lightstrike Pro. You've got Adidas's support rods in the shoe, which are these wide, fairly soft rods found under the midsole foam and above the outsole, which are there as much to provide stability and support as they are to provide propulsion, like you get from the Energy rods. Then you have an Adiwear rubber outsole with really good coverage across the shoe, but it is not Continental rubber, even though it has been pretty good on grip for me, I will say that. But Continental rubber is one of the standout features with Adidas shoes often. I found that both shoes fit me well in my normal running shoe size. With Adidas, a UK 9 translates to a US 9.5, whereas with a lot of brands, a UK 9 is a US 10, so sometimes Adidas shoes can be a little bit tight if you're using UK sizing, but it wasn't the case with these two shoes. Both of them had enough room in the toe box. The fit is quite different around the rest of the shoe though then. The Boston 12, the fit is a little bit fussy. I've had to heel lock the shoe to avoid heel rub, and in general, you've got to position the tongue right, get the lacing right, because it's quite a thin upper. You can get a bit of lace bite if you lace them too tightly, and the heel can move around a bit. It's a slightly complicated, annoying upper, I'd say, but not too drastically bad once you've got it sorted out. Whereas the Supernova Rise is a really good upper. It's a very comfortable hold at the heel and midfoot. You've got a lot more padding there, and it's very easy to get a very good fit with the shoe without having to worry about heel locking it or anything like that. On to the run test then. I did a lot of miles in the Boston 12 last year. It was one of my favourite shoes of last year just because of the updates Adidas made to it compared to the Boston 11. The new design of the shoe is a lot lighter. The new midsole is excellent with this Lightstrike Pro layer on top and the Lightstrike 2.0 underneath. It's just an incredibly versatile all-round shoe. I find it very comfortable when cruising through long runs, but it's also really fast. Like I've gone down to 400 metre reps in this shoe as well as doing faster tempo runs and that kind of thing, and it really can do everything pretty well, I'd say. Like the dual density midsole delivers a nice smooth transition onto that of Lightstrike Pro at the forefoot, which gives you a lot of energy return, especially when combined with the energy rods underneath. That does mean it's great for faster runs, but it is a comfortable shoe if you are going to just go head out at a relaxed pace. And I know that Adidas does pitch the Boston as a speed shoe. It's in the Adizero range, and that's why maybe it felt it had a gap in its lineup for a more relaxed daily trainer, but I do think the Boston does that job really well as long as you get on with the upper, which can be a bit of a pain. Like I mentioned in the fit section, it's not the best upper for just relaxed running. It does have a more of a racy feel, even if the midsole underneath does feel very well suited to a range of runs. Supernova Rise looked excellent on paper because it did feel like Adidas had taken some key lessons from the Adizero range to create a daily trainer that was just a lot different to what we've seen from them in the past. Things like the Ultra Boost, which is an okay shoe, a nice crossover running lifestyle shoe, but it's not that lightweight, it's not that performance focused. focused, whereas the Supernova looked like it could be because you've got this new midsole foam there, a much lighter design as something like the Ultra Boost, more comfortable upper than stuff in the Adizero range. Looked like could be a really bit of a winner across the board. But then in the end on the run, I just didn't really click with it for anything. I found it a little bit thin under the forefoot in particular and a bit dull there. So whereas in the Boston, you've got that slightly lower drop and that deep section of Lightstrike Pro under the forefoot, which delivers a really energetic, lively ride, I found the Supernova Rise felt okay at the heel, like reasonably comfortable and a little bit of bounce there. But once you hit that forefoot, it feels a bit thin, a bit dead. And I mean, it didn't feel that comfortable when at easy paces or that lively and energetic when you are running at fastest paces. Did find it a pretty versatile daily trainer, like it's a balanced, quite neutral platform that you can use for anything. I was happy enough doing progression runs, moving from easy to fast pace in it, as well as all-out easy runs, but I never enjoyed it that much for any of those runs. And really that is down to the difference in the midsoles between the two shoes, where you've got this much more lively and enjoyable setup in the Boston 12, which is still comfortable. I think it's a more comfortable shoe than the Supernova Rise for easy stuff. And there's a lot more responsiveness and dynamism when you're going to move at faster paces. Supernova Rise just feels okay. It doesn't really feel like it excels at anything. I will say that the upper is certainly an improvement on the Supernova Rise. And when I was running in both shoes at the same time, it's noticeable how much easier it is to put the shoe on and lace it up and how much more comfortable it feels on the top of your foot. But underneath, the Boston just feels better around. It's smoother, it's got a bit more bounce. I think it's a bit more comfortable. The Supernova Rise is comfortable at the heel, but then loses that comfort as you transition through the shoe, like I say, onto this slightly lifeless forefoot you have here. So when I was running both shoes at the same time or doing any kind of run in either shoe, I just found that the Boston felt that little bit better, and then it feels a lot better if you're going to go and do fast stuff. So although these two shoes are positioned fairly differently within Adidas's range, I do think they end up covering similar bases, and as long as you get on with the upper of the Boston 12 and don't find it too lightweight and lacking in support in general, I think it's the superior shoe for pretty much any kind of run. I think it's one of the best all-rounders on the market. Supernova Rise is a solid shoe, and it stands up well against the rivals in its category, things like the Saucony Ride or the Nike Pegasus, but I do think it's a shoe that just lacks a little bit of the energy and fun you get from the Boston 12. And although it's got a better upper, other than that, I would take the Boston 12 on every single count. It's even got a continental rubber outsole, which you don't get on the Supernova Rise. Supernova Rise is obviously a little bit cheaper as well, but the difference in price isn't massive, and I don't think it's as big as the difference in performance. So I would lean towards the Boston, despite the slightly higher price. Both of them are offered in sales, which might make the difference between them a little bit smaller as well. I think the difference almost between racier shoes like the Adizero range and daily trainers is a bit smaller these days, because you can have a shoe like this which is so cushioned and supportive but still very fast because of the improved foams you have available these days. So it does make it slightly academic, apart from the way that Adidas almost sells these shoes and the fact this has got a much more relaxed upper fit compared to the Boston 12. That said, I think the Supernova Rise probably is a little bit more approachable, and if you're looking to buy one of these as your first and only running shoe, then I think it is a slightly more accommodating shoe for beginners. It's got that slightly more comfortable feel at the heel in particular, but if you are just looking for a general shoe that can handle a bit of everything, the Boston 12 is the best option in Adidas's range, I would say. Okie dokie, that's our comparison of the Supernova Rise and the Boston 12. Let us know what you think in the comments below. Please do like and subscribe, ring the little bell, and we'll see you next time.